All right, this is lesson 9 of the third quarter in Delta Math. 2 parts, 5 problems for each. So part 1 is review. We're taking a radical. These are all square roots. And we are simplifying it by extracting perfect squares. So we did this before. We were dividing these out, and it only lets you divide out perfect squares. 4 is our perfect square, so we would type 4 and 27 under the square root signs, and the square root of 4 is 2. That's our perfect square. So from our second step, we go to our third step here, and then we can take our square root of 27, and we can again divide it up into 3 and another perfect square. Square root of 9 turns into 3, and now we have 2 numbers outside the square root sign, and we multiply them together, and we have our answer. We have a square root of 3 left behind. One more example of this type. Again, finding perfect squares that we can divide out. So for our 200, I noticed was divisible by 4. The square root of 4 is 2. And now we can continue simplifying. I can divide 25 out of 50. And we're left with 2 over here. I can solve the square root of 25, which turns into 5. And then 2 times 5 is 10. When I finished this, I realized, or it told me, there was a faster way. If I would have taken 200 and divided it by 100, then I could have solved the square root of 100, which is 10, and I would have gotten to the same answer I got to, but faster. So you have to complete 5 of those on your own, and then when you're done with that, or if you want, you can skip that and come back to it. There's a part 2. It doesn't say part 2, but it's the second one. And we're going to estimate square roots. These are numbers that are not perfect squares. And so the best we can do so far is figure out what 2 whole numbers the answer is between. And so we're given a number, in this case, 78. And we have to think to ourselves, what are the perfect squares? You could give yourself a list: 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64. That would be 8 times 8. 9 times 9 is 91, and then, or 81, that is. And then 10 times 10 is 100. I don't think it goes beyond that. 11 times 11 is 121. And 12 times 12 is 144, so it might go beyond that. So we have to pick the 2 numbers that 78 is in between, 64 and 81. So that's why we have 64 that I filled in here. Square root of 64 is 8. And 81 is the other number. Square root of 81 is 9. And so we know that the square root of 78 lies between 8 and 9, maybe 8.5, something like that. Once you've filled in those 2 numbers, well, all 4 of them, and then especially the last 2, then, oh yeah, almost forgot. Got to move this guy around. So we can place that between 8 and 9. And then you should be able to get your green check mark.